So this week, I'm going to talk a little about Avram. Avram Avinu, the Torah says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to him for the first time and says, Lech lecho me'artzecho mi'moladetecho mi'beis avicho el ha'oretz asher areko. So there's different shittas in Chazal. How old was Avram when he realized who HaKadosh Baruch Hu is? One of the shittas is that he was 48. And what's the significance of the age of 48 for Avram? At the age of 48 was exactly when the Migdal Bavel took place. So Avram Avinu, he was one of the people that was involved in the discussions of the Migdal Bavel. And the Migdal Bavel, as the Torah tells us very clearly, was a conspiracy of man to defraud God. Man wanted to control his destiny, to protect himself from the creator of the universe. And how does that man do that? Because we've learned that as man interprets life, so the Almighty will interact with life. And therefore, as man interacts with the world through specific thoughts, through specific beliefs, those thoughts and those beliefs are going to dictate his destiny. And these people, the Migdal Bavel, they were trying to accomplish a way of how they're going to organize themselves, and they're going to be in charge of their destiny. They won't have to rely on the very nature of the human being in order to keep him alive. They're going to do it by changing how we think about ourselves, how we think about life, how we think about the world, how we understand the forces that interact to create our experience. And by changing our understanding of these forces, we're also going to change how they interact with reality, how these forces affect man. We're also going to this is called Kishuv. Kishuv is the power that a human being has to convince another human being to think something that's not natural for him. It's not even in his best interest. It's not even in his interest at all, sometimes. And this Kishuv that they made then, these different cultures that they created, are still in effect right now. They're still messing with our minds all the way till this very minute. What you're feeling right now should have been a completely different experience. But you were not given access to that experience. That experience was stolen from you 4,000 years ago by people you've never met. But people who understood you better than you understand yourself and caused you today in Tov Shin Pei to believe things about yourself that are completely untrue. And as a result, you have a poor experience in this world. And this is what Chazal teach us when they tell us, Godol koichan shel kshofim, shemakhishin koicho shepamalya shel male. That so big is the force of Kishuv, the force of magic, that it's makhish. It weakens, it denies the forces that HaKadosh Baruch Hu placed in nature in order to create our very destiny. And so Avram Avinu, when he saw what they were about to do, when he understood where they were headed, he said, there's no way I'm signing up for something like this. That's not possible. And why? It was very practical. It was the only way the people after the Mabul were going to find a way to coexist without killing each other. So why didn't Avram sign up for it? Because he had such a sensitive heart that he couldn't think of us suffering 4,000 years later and not having a way to know the truth, not having a way to pull back all this kishuv and realize what was really supposed to be taking place. Realize that whoever created this universe had something else in mind. And so Avram took it upon himself to do whatever was necessary to make sure that we will know that something took place. People had an agenda by how they set up the cultures, by how they set up your understandings, your beliefs, and they weren't truly honest about what's really happening here. This was the beginning of what we now know as Judaism. Judaism is an attempt to keep alive a truth about humanity that all over the world, for many generations, people have wanted to hide from us for various reasons. Some of them went as far as to burn our books and to not let us learn and to not let us remember what was, what we're connected to, what we're attached to. Others have tried to pervert the very thing that we're being taught. However, the way that the message has been packaged has assured its arrival to this very day. All the elements necessary for its survival were incorporated into this wisdom, into the way it was set up, into the way it was created. And this survived within people, most of which had no idea what it is they were carrying forward to the future generations. Only the most learned, only those who understood the secrets of the Torah, understood what's really the purpose of this entire commotion. Who is this creator, and why does it need us to represent him? And the answer to this question lies in that story of the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was when people tried to take their own destiny into their hands and erase any trace of what it truly means to be human and what a human being is expected to do on this planet. And why were we created the way that we were created? What does it mean to be us? And so, every single one of us right now, as we're sitting here listening to these words, if we were to run a scan on your brain, we would see that different areas in your brain are lighting up as we speak. We're touching different areas of your brain, and different settings are being updated. Different understandings are coming to light. Now, these areas, all these areas together, as they combine, they're causing you to have the experience that you're having. They're causing reality to feel to you the way that it feels right now. And these are called malachim. In the ancient language, they were studying human consciousness from within. The ancient, what we call religion, is studying the same thing that science is studying, except that the ancients studied from within, from the side of consciousness, so that they can gain control of the things that they learn and understand, so they can become what they know. And the scientists work through the help of the senses to see from the external, from the outside in, to try to understand what's taking place. And so what the scientists might be different brain areas lighting up, to a makubal, to a person living in the ancient world, this is called angels interacting with each other to create an experience, to create a human experience. And now these angels, they have tiers. There are the archangels, they're the basic perceptions that we have about life, they're the extremely subtle parts of our perception, parts of our consciousness. And then there are the most gross, the more formed angels that are more specific to your present condition, to your present understanding of life. Some of these angels are with us our entire life. We can never see life without that angel active. We will only see that after we leave our bodies. However, most of our angels are at our control. We're the ones that tell them to come in, we turn them on, and we keep them on for as long as we want. However, because we're so engrossed in the physical, we've lost access to understanding ourselves so that we can interact with our brain in a coherent manner. We don't know how to control our brain. We don't know how to tell the malachim that we created what it is we would like them to do. They boss us around. And every time we're feeling a lousy mood, or every time we're feeling disconnected from life, any time we're feeling any type of darkness, it's because a malach, a brain pattern, has presented itself in our view, and it's sucking our energy. It's us feeding him, but we don't know how to turn him off. And the reason we're so external, the reason we're so busy that we don't have time to get to know ourselves, is because the cultures that were created, already starting from seeds 4,000 years ago at the Migdal Bavel, even though back then it was still very much internal, the culture, however, it wasn't the truth, and it became more and more externalized in 4 different phases. Also, when we talk about Golis Mitzrayim, which is called the mother of all the Golias, we're talking about the fact that there is civilization. That's Golis Mitzrayim. A person that goes out from Mitzrayim, it means that he doesn't see life from the eyes of civilization. He sees life from the eyes of a human being. And that's why our entire religion is based on Yetzias Mitzrayim. Everything we do as a Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim, meaning we would like to one day wake up and get out of Mitzrayim. We would like to one day wake up and see the world as it is, and not see it from the eyes of how we were conditioned to see it. Because all conditioning is Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means that he's placing Mitzorim in the Yam HaChochma. He is minimizing your potential for experience because he doesn't trust you. He doesn't think you're worthy of knowing who you are and how big you are. He's afraid of you. And then comes 4 levels of darkness that Mitzrayim made possible, and those are the 4 Golias. Bovel, Poras, Yovan, and Edom. Each one is an additional lens, an additional evil malach, as we would call it, covering our perception of reality to the extent that we cannot interact with life in a healthy way. And so, Echad Hoya Avram, one person in the whole world, that said, if you guys are going to destroy our past, if you're going to destroy our truth, if you're going to destroy what humanity really is, then how will anyone ever know? And so what did the Goyim do? What did they do as a way to preserve the knowledge? They designated people as Kehanim. A Kohen, a priest, his job would be to preserve the ancient knowledge so that even though the Amoinam has no idea why they're here or what they're doing, the priest will make sure that they're nice and busy while the priests know the truth. And this was the beginning of the schools of wisdom that had different initiation procedures for a person to join their school and get to know the deepest secrets of reality. And this continued on all the way to the Greeks. In fact, all the big philosophers that still have a name until today were initiated in some of these ancient Egyptian schools that were still active in those times. And this is why they had such tremendous knowledge beyond the average citizen, beyond what anybody else knew. And within those traditions was also the ability to improve intelligence to increase the amount of information a person can retain, to allow more energy for a person to be able to control his destiny, control what's happening in the world. Many leaders, like Alexander the Great, he was a student of one of the big philosophers, and this is what gave him his power, so that he can be what some would call superhuman, that he could arrive at such a young age to be in such a high position. And so Avram Avinu, he foresaw that allowing priests to keep the true knowledge while everybody else remains ignorant is not the solution for humanity. And in fact, it didn't take long until the priests started playing with the wisdom, toying with it, toying with society, in what became known as the Khartoumim, the Egyptian priests, the magicians, the ones that came to argue with Moshe as he was having discussions with Paro about the faith of Klal Yisrael. And so Avram Avinu created a family for one purpose. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ki yedativ leman asher yetzav ve'ezbono ve'ezbeisa yachra ve'shomru derech Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, these people, this family that Avram is creating, they're going to try to keep the truth alive regardless of the circumstances. And so, as a result, thousands upon thousands, and maybe even millions of his grandchildren jumped into fires rather than giving up their tradition, giving up the truth that they know is more important than life itself. Life itself becomes a misery, becomes a punishment if the truth is not present within it. And this is something that our forefathers understood very deeply. The quality of life is much more important than the quantity. One life could be worth 1,000,000 others because of the quality, because of the truth. Because nature, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it, gave us such depth, gave us so much potential, gave us so much power, that if we don't have access to it, life is not worth living. And this is why our entire life is based on a theme of Golus and Geula. Don't assume that this is the way that it's supposed to be. And this is what David HaMelech says in Tehillim. Im eshkochech Yerushalayim tishkach yemini. If I'm going to forget that there's a Yerushalayim, that there's a place where something better is supposed to take place, tishkach yemini, I'll forget all my chesed. I'll just become a bitter person. I'll become lost. I'll become depressed. What keeps me going? That I know that what's happening here, what's happening now, is not real. It's not the truth. People have lost their way. However, the real truth is good, is kind, is worthy. And that's the only knowledge that gives us permission to continue life on this planet. Otherwise, who are we to bring children into this situation? What gives us the right? We see the world, we see what life is. We see each one that comes down is suffering. What gives us the right to bring souls into this situation? The only reason we have a right to do that, the only reason we have a mitzvah to do it, is because there is a different truth that will be revealed in the right time, and we have to make sure that our children are there to see it. That we give Avram Avinu a few more people of his descendants that can see the Geula, that can see that he was right, that all this suffering paid off at the end, because the truth is that valuable and more. And when we observe nature, it's very easy to recognize that We're so not sophisticated compared to what nature is. The way we're created, the way our body is so much more evolved than the way our mind thinks. And that's not necessarily what we're supposed to be. That's something that we caused ourselves by leaving our truth, by leaving our reality, by allowing ourselves to believe words rather than seeing the truth for what it is. This was the koich of the Khartoumim. The Khartoumim, the Lashon Cheret, is speaking about hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs was the way the Egyptian priests would start writing down wisdom and creating beliefs within the populations. And so, as we learn to believe words that we didn't fully understand, and we disregard nature, that we disregard reality, we disregard the people that are right in front of us because we think we understood words, we're losing touch with reality. And then we become very small. We become very little. We become our own little idea of what we are. That's all we are. If we lose touch with our nature, then all we are is what we think we are. And that's scary. And so, being part of this family, remembering Avraham Avinu, remembering HaKadosh Baruch Hu's command to Avraham Avinu, Lech lecho me'artzecho me'ladzecho me'beis avicha lo'aretz asher areko. We have to be courageous, we have to be as brave as Avraham Avinu was about the truth, about not wavering, about not losing sight of how important the truth is, how big the truth is, and how small we are, the way that we think we are. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, Lech lecho me'artzecho, go away from your land, from what you think, from what you understand. Everything you were born into. That's not you. It's not pure. It's not clean. Me'beis avicho, the closest things to you. Remember, you recorded all those things in Galus. If you want to get close to the Torah, if you want to get close to the truth, you're going to have to re-record, you're going to have to verify, you're going to have to look and understand how are things supposed to be said. In what tune? When do you cry and when do you laugh? When do you get angry? When do you get excited? Which psukim cause you to feel? Which psukim cause you to not feel? Which psukim make you angry? Which psukim make you calm? This is what the Torah is here for, to develop you, to develop your brain, to develop your understanding of yourself, to develop your relationship with who you are. And then you can go, El ha'oretz asher areko. Where is it? It can't be described to you in your current brain. Your current brain doesn't have the capacity to know. But if you're going to continue developing, you're going to continue searching, then it's going to be El ha'oretz asher areko. It's going to be some place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself will show you. When you'll come to realization. When you'll come to know something you haven't known before. You'll come to feel things you didn't feel before. You'll develop the very potential that's in your own body. It's in your own mind. It's yours. It was created specifically for you. It has no other purpose. It's there for you to develop so that you can have the best that you can possibly imagine and much more. We should all be zoiched that we should be able to make our grandfather Avram proud and bring the Gula Shleim of Meher B'Imeinu.